All the artists sitting over here, let me ask you a question. How does it feel like when you're about to start painting? Standing in front of that blank canvas and in constant thought, what do I paint today? Well, that is exactly where every great piece of artwork stems from. Vision. But now comes the harder part, the actual painting and the drawing. I mean, we all have ideas, don't we? We're all ready to suggest to everyone how to fix and better their stuff, but hardly anyone is actually willing to do it for you. Welcome to the real world. You see, vision is something we all possess, or at least claim to possess. But only a said few actually have the grit to work upon that vision and to build it into reality. Those are who we casually know as leaders. You see, leaders seem to possess the 4 I's: imagination, innovation, inspiration, and most importantly, implementation. And I know it sounds very bookish when I say it, but put some thought into it and you'll realize that these attributes are a must for a leader. As John C. Maxwell wisely observed, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Now, why is it that some big ideas change the world while others just fizzle? Well, it all boils down to clarity and grit. Take Florence Nightingale. She didn't just want kinder hospitals. She proved that the real killers weren't the wounds, but the filthy conditions that were spreading disease. How she meticulously collected data and crafted innovative charts proving that sanitation saved lives. This crystal clear mission forced governments to rebuild hospitals entirely. And when bureaucrats fought back, Nightingale didn't quit. She came back with more data, louder arguments, and a bone-deep refusal to yield. Because a dream without persistence is just a nice thought. However, a dream fueled by relentless drive, that is how history gets written. And that is the imagination, innovation, inspiration, and implementation that I talked about. Now, let me take you all back to the year 1432. In the chaotic world of the Ottoman court, a boy was born. He was born into a world full of plots and power struggles. At the ripe age of 12, his father stepped down as sultan, leaving the boy on the throne. But the empire was in chaos. Enemies threatened and the court had only one stance. A child couldn't possibly rule an empire, could he? Well, this eventually led his father to come back to the throne. Now think of it. That taste of power and then the shame of being cast aside. It would crush anyone at such a young age. But in his case, it lit a fire. He disappeared for years studying everything. Language, history, war, science, everything that he could get his hands on. He trained his mind and his body, waiting for a chance to prove himself. And when in 1451, after his father died, that left the 19-year-old on the throne once again. But this time, he wasn't a boy anymore. He was a man hardened by hardship and struggle. And as for his heart, it burnt with only one dream: Constantinople. And what a dream it was. A challenge that had broken empires for centuries. For 1,000 years, its 3 great walls stood tall, defeating every enemy that ever came near it. Sea currents and massive chains protected its harbor. And empires would fall, but Constantinople, it wouldn't. But the thing is that this seemingly impossible task wasn't just his own. It was destiny that was passed down to the generations of the Ottomans. Each of his ancestors had made an effort, failed, and eventually passed the dreams forward. But as for Mehmet, he decided that he would do what no one else could. He would conquer Constantinople. That is imagination. But imagination without action remains fantasy. And so he moved fast. First, he built a huge fortress in just 4 months. Next, he commissioned the largest cannon ever seen in history, a monster called Basilica that could smash stone walls like toys. But the challenge of the massive chain and the golden horn still remained. And so Mehmet did what no one in his right mind would. Under the cover of the night, thousands of men pulled and hauled 70 warships uphill, defying nature itself. That is innovation. And that was what broke Constantinople before its walls were ever touched. And when innovation meets relentless execution, history bends. On May 29, 1453, the final attack began. Ottoman soldiers charged the walls again and again, and it was all a frenzy for hours. No one knew who would win. But then Mehmet, leading from the front, sent his best soldiers crashing down a broken gate. The city finally fell. And at just 21, the boy who was once cast aside became Mehmet, the conqueror. He didn't just capture a city. He fulfilled a prophecy. Where others saw impossible walls, he saw his destiny. And with the will that never knew impossible, he changed history forever. And that is implementation. Yet, true leadership isn't always about conquering cities. Sometimes it's about conquering hearts. Think of a man who started with nothing but a deep desire to help others. That was Abdul Sattar E.G. His foundation ran hospitals and shelters all across Pakistan. Yet his true power wasn't in paperwork. It was in how he lived compassion. Day after day, E.G. himself drove his ambulance through the chaotic streets of Karachi. He didn't just direct from an office. He personally lifted the injured, washed the forgotten dead, and comforted the abandoned, proving that the deepest compassion isn't preached, it's lived. That is inspiration. Now, let's have another one. Picture Eric Yuan clutching 9 US visa rejections in his hand. Yet, he held his dream more tightly, dissolving distance through screens. When he finally landed at Silicon Valley, he saw 1,000 flaws. And so he walked away from millions at Cisco, whispering, "The future of connection is broken, and I'll fix it." Years of obscurity followed, skeptical investors and a team sleeping under desks. But when they built Zoom, they built it as human glue. Simple enough for grandparents, seamless enough for CEOs. And then 2020 hit. The world shut down while isolation choked millions. And suddenly Yuan's crazy dream, it became oxygen, lighting up screens globally. And yet he still asks, how can we make people feel closer? You see, titans aren't built in boardrooms. They're forged in visa lines and empty offices. And it all began with 9 stems simply screaming, no. Coming to how Cadet College Hassan Abdal plays this role of forming leaders. Leaders who see a vision and turn it into reality. Our mission? Shaping 21st century global leaders in their chosen fields of influence. These aren't just words to brush off. Many think of this as something bookish or more of a formality. But let me tell you this, it isn't. This mission holds a huge ideology behind it. An ideology that became a reality. Our life here is a mix of various fields. And by God, what we do here, it's nothing short of a feat. Tell your routine to anyone outside this college and they're left in awe. This alone stands testimony to the feats we perform here daily. You see, all of us lead at our own capacity. Dom commanders get selected from the 9th and 10th classes. First year leads at its own capacity. And second year, we're leading wing teams and a lot more responsibilities as well. And is it not true that all of us here foster some dream or the other? And each day we wake up, take a step towards it. This This is exactly what I talked about. Mr. Hugh Castro, the founder of our own college, looked at Pakistan and saw a vision to revolutionize education. Not just books, but an education that encompassed all fields of life. And against all odds, he built Cadet College Hassan Abdal from dust and determination. His leadership wasn't in just seeing that vision. It was in building the hardcore reality that he did. PF College Sargodha, Aptabad Public School. And this great institution, this is the excellence that he forged. And now, decades later, when CCH stands tall as a fortress of excellence, it's not bricks or steel that hold it together. It's Cashpole's undying legacy, the unyielding belief that true leaders plant trees whose shade they may never sit under. Now, I know we used a lot of examples over here, but now let me bring the round square ideal of leadership into limelight for a moment. Round Square preaches towards leadership and provides the students with a platform to exercise it. Whether it's leading coastal restorations in Kenya or MUNs in South Korea, Round Square provides the students with a platform to exercise and practice revision, turning it into reality. And when Cadet College Hassan Abdal meets Round Square, we see our cadets leading the whole globe instead of staying limited to wing teams. Now, I know I used a lot of examples over here, but all of that was to take this concept of transformative leadership and make you realize that it's real. It's real and it has been in practice since forever. Now, what makes a leader truly transformative? It's not charisma. It's the quiet fire that burns when everything screams, quit. It's raw and relentless persistence. The choice to build and overcome each and every single day. Look around this hall. Feel that energy humming? That is your potential. Because leadership isn't carved in marble. It's forged in small and defined choices. The choice to help a struggling classmate, or the choice to stand up for the unheard, even the choice to wipe away a tear after a failure. That is how leaders are made. So rise and etch your story well, because history isn't written by the perfect, it's etched by the tenacious. Thank you all for your patient listening.